I'm making one video for every day in July, and this is the 22nd video, and the question for this video is, what are the liberal arts? A question that pretty much no one can give a straight answer to, although a lot of people are increasingly interested in them, I think. Before I answer that question, I want to talk about one of the more popular essays on my Maximum New York Substack called Political Science Degrees Must End. The reason why I wrote it is political science degrees are very popular. Many students get them because they assume that they will teach them how the government works. Political science degrees, in fact, do not do this. And so that's a problem. What do they do if they don't do that? The other problem with them is just the name itself. You will find many different degree programs across many different schools, and they go by many names. Government, political theory, political science, politics. There's tons of names like this. In fact, they all have the exact same degree structure that is usually called a political science degree. And that degree structure is you have to pick 4 classes from 4 subfields like international relations, American government, political theory, etc. And then you just have a relatively short list of required electives that you can take. There's not much structure. So regardless of what the degree is actually called, most degrees follow this same structure. And in the case of Harvard's degree, which is the one that I got a government degree, but Harvard calls that a political science degree. So the name itself is just confusing. And so instead of getting into the guts of discussing political science degrees, you could read the essay. Why is this relevant to the discussion of the liberal arts? Well, the same confusion happens right out of the gate with the liberal arts. People don't even know what it is conceptually. They don't know what it's supposed to do for you. They can't benchmark against it. They can't find good instructors about it. They can't tell who's bullshitting them about it. All of these things. So, for example, you can test whether or not you know what the liberal arts are with this question. What is the difference between the liberal arts, the humanities, and English? And if you don't have really concrete definitions, or if those things just sort of blend into one mash, or if you've been using them interchangeably, you can probably tell that maybe you need a little bit of a sharper focus on what the liberal arts really are. And the interesting thing is, many people graduate with liberal arts degrees. They can't tell you what they are, partially because they're at no point in almost, I'm confident in almost any liberal arts degree program, does anyone sit you down and say, this is what the liberal arts are? Same thing happens with political science degrees. So what are the liberal arts? Well, the first thing to do is position them in a longer timeline of educational development. Or, you know what, this is going to be a short video. I'm not going to do that. The liberal arts, the classical liberal arts that then grew through the medieval period that we inherited in the modern era, there's 7 of them, and they're divided into the trivium and the quadrivium. The trivium, logic, rhetoric, grammar. The quadrivium, arithmetic, music, geometry, astronomy. So those, you have 7 subjects there. And in the modern era, we've sort of added some more to them, but you could, if you wanted to, using the modern lens, kind of wall these off as the trivium is kind of the humanities, the quadrivium is kind of the sciences. And all of them are the liberal arts. Well, why are they called the liberal arts? They're called the liberal arts classically because they are the things that set you free. That's the liberal. They set you free to think independently. They set you free to learn what you would need to know to become an independent learner, a kind of an autodidact when you need to be, so that you're not wholly dependent on someone else to learn how to exist in modern society. So you're supposed to cultivate how to think, how to persuade, how to express, all of these things. So do the modern liberal arts do this well for most people? I don't think so. In the first place, because it doesn't tell them almost any of this. And so they don't even know that these are the competencies they're supposed to be benchmarked again, let alone what good versions of these look like. Instead of really sharpening liberal artists, people who can think independently, for the most part, students just take a hodgepodge of electives. So I will end this video by saying, of course, many universities do say things like, well, we don't teach you how to do anything in particular, but we do teach you how to think critically. We do teach you, they'll say these words. if all they do is say those words, they probably don't teach you how to do any of those things. There is a view that the liberal arts are not like vocational skills, like carpentry or coding or something like this. They teach you to think more broadly. If someone pitches them to you like this, I don't think they're a good proponent of the liberal arts. Although I do think the liberal arts profoundly interact with a person internally. You know, like you go to the gym to get strong. That interacts with you personally as opposed to changing something about the world. Similarly, the liberal arts do interact upon you, upon your mind and your mode of expression, but they should be taught in a way with strong feedback loops in reality. Because of course, they do improve you, just like strength training. They improve your mind. It blooms like a rose. But a rose is meant to be seen. A rose is meant to have an impact on the world. So a liberal arts program that doesn't teach you how to use your gifts to operate in society, but just makes claims that it'll help you somehow, it's not a good one. It's not doing what the liberal arts should do. So this is my small discussion of the liberal arts, or whatever you can do in like 6 minutes.